Are you ready to turn your dreams into a reality? Then you need to join the next round in the Dream Bigger Mastermind. Get on the waitlist today to secure early access and an exclusive bonus when enrollment opens. It's time to manifest your best life yet. Welcome back to another episode of Breathe More. I have a confession to make. I'm a little annoyed right now because this is my second time recording this episode. I had recorded it a few days ago, getting organized, scheduling things, and then I accidentally deleted this episode yesterday. And in the software that I used to record it, there's no way to recover the episode. So this is actually a helpful example with today's topic of the episode, where my reflection for us today is to think about who's running your life. And so if this had happened a few years back, where I did all this work and then I deleted it and it just disappeared and I had to do it again, I would be beating myself up. I would be going into this negative self-talk, thinking that I'm irresponsible, that how could I have done that? What's wrong with me? And all this other stuff. But instead, because of all the healing work that I've done, because of all the self-awareness that I have and my tools, yes, I'm still annoyed, but it just is what it is, right? And okay, so I got to do it again, but this time it's going to be even better, right? So in the past, the part of me who would be having those negative thoughts would be my younger self, my inner child. She would be freaking out that she made a mistake because growing up in an environment with an alcoholic dad, with a stressed out mom, I would have gotten in so much trouble. There was no room for error. Everything I had to do, I felt like I had to do it perfectly. I couldn't make any mistakes. And so that followed me into adulthood. And while in some ways it served me, obviously it kept me from getting in as much trouble when I was younger. I prevented that. But as I got older, this self-criticism, these really high expectations, this perfection that I was chasing, which doesn't even exist, was creating so much stress and overwhelm in my life that sometimes it felt debilitating. And I was so rigid and I was so afraid. But because my inner child today knows that mommy and papi can't hurt her anymore, that I'm her protector, that she is safe, that it is okay to make mistakes, that we actually learn from our mistakes, she didn't freak out. She was like, oh man, bummer. And that's it. And now here I am again recording it, and it's all good. So the topic of wanting you to reflect on who's running your life was inspired by one of my mastermind calls. Well, actually a couple of them, because this is a topic that does come up quite often. I'll share a specific story about a client where she's a small business owner and she's been struggling financially in her business. She's burnt out, overworked. She just feels like she's on a hamster wheel and can't get off. And she knows what she has to do to change things in her business. Yet she's been procrastinating like crazy. She's been avoiding things. Her to-do list just keeps getting longer. And so in her coaching session, I helped her identify, what is this about? What's going on? So specifically, one of the simple things that she can do that's going to help her immensely is raising her prices. Hello, inflation. Hello, everything else, right? Like every business is doing it. Yet she has so much fear and resistance to do that. And so I helped her to shine light on what those thoughts are. What are the stories that her mind is telling her on why she can't raise her prices? And so we were able to identify that there's a fear of, what are people going to say? Now she's not going to be as accessible to her community. Are people going to think that she's money hungry? Is she all of a sudden falling into the trap of capitalism. If she raises her prices, then that means that her values are going out the window. I mean, the list went on and on and on and on. And as we were shining light on these thoughts, immediately, because the way that I work with my clients is also as a clairvoyant and intuitive, I actually get messages and I'm able to quickly identify what part of them is activated by whatever action they know they have to do, but they're avoiding. And so for her, it was her teenage self. Her teenager has a lot of opinions on how the world should be. She's revolutionary. She's counterculture. She wants things to be free for everyone. It's all about the art and community, which great. Be idealistic. However, this part of her, these philosophies, is who's making the decisions in her business, her teenage self. And that's not helping her business. That's actually hurting her business. And it's actually, in the long run, if she doesn't make the changes she knows she needs to make, it's going to hurt her community too, because she's not going to be able to be in business anymore. And so that's going to be a huge loss to the neighborhood, to her clients. So once we were able to identify which part of her is running her life in her business, her teen self, it was a huge breakthrough for her. It was like her whole energy shifted. And that contraction, that fear of taking the action basically disappeared. The next step we had to do once we were able to identify who's running her life, who's making the decisions that shouldn't be making the decisions, is then connecting with that part of her and acknowledging what her inner teen is trying to do. And again, yeah, beautiful. I wish that things could be that way. But the reality is we're not going to change capitalism in our business by doing the work that we do. And also, what really matters to us is to, through her art, through her business, she's also a healer. She's a tattoo artist, but she holds space for her clients. She helps them move energy. She helps them process grief, get closure. It's such a powerful thing that she does, besides just creating art on someone's body. And so we helped her teen self understand that, or remind her of that. The other thing that came through when connecting with her teen self was we were able to identify that her teen self felt afraid that she would be abandoned when she no longer was running her business. Well, what would she do? And she still wants to be a part of her life. So we reassured her that we're not abandoning her, that she is very important, and she can help out with the creativity, with the art, with the creations, with the designs. There's other ways that we can bring community together where maybe it's at a different price point to make it accessible to folks who can't afford her prices that she's going to raise it to. And so once we started to present basically a plan and let her teen self know that she is loved, that she is safe, and she's not going to be left to the side, again, her energy shifted even more. There is a visible softness that happened in her body. And from that place, then she felt confident and clear on what steps she has to take. And this fire lit within her, where I just got the update that after our session, she got to work. She updated her contracts. She's working on communicating the new price changes to her employees. Like, she is in action. And so what she had been avoiding for a whole year and hurting her business, not just hurting her business, but then also creating so much stress in her life, so much worry because she was barely getting by financially. Now she's taking action towards a simple solution that's going to bring so much relief and abundance and still be able to be of service to her community. That is the power of doing this work. It made me so happy for her, and just how it all clicked when we were able to identify who was running her life. The other thing that really helped to click for my client is the fact that she's a mom of a teenager. So I asked her, I'm like, how do you feel if your daughter was running your business? And right away, she's like, yeah, no, my daughter is amazing. I love her. She's mature for her age, but yeah, no, she can't be running my business. Right. So why are you letting that teenage self of you run your business today? So beautiful breakthrough. I can't wait to see all the abundance and the ease and the flow and the magic that happens when she continues to implement the changes and allow herself to receive that abundance and make her business more sustainable. Another example with a current mastermind client around this topic is she expressed that she was feeling just overwhelmed and tired and burnt out. She's an amazing human being. She's so generous and kind and such a great friend. But she noticed that recently her friends were being really demanding of her time and they wanted to go out and basically like party every weekend. And she's not about that anymore. But something inside of her was telling her, well, I can't tell my friend that I'm not available or that I'm too tired because that makes me a jerk and I don't want to be a jerk. And then I asked her, okay, so if you're a jerk, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to lose my friends and then I'm going to be all alone. So immediately her brain came up with a story that if she has a boundary, if she's just not available for a weekend, she's going to be all alone. All of her friends are going to get mad at her. They're going to hate her and think she's a terrible person, and they're going to leave her. So again, I coached her to help her identify, okay, what part of you believes this? Because it's not the adult self. Her adult self, her current self, knows that that's a lie. That's not true. Yet these thoughts are so real and have taken over her life, right? It's how she is showing up in the world. But she just can't do that anymore because, again, she's so tired and burnt out and she doesn't have free time. And so we were able to identify that it's a younger self of her inner child. And so once again, we connected with her inner child. We let her know, hey, it's so beautiful that you're such a love-giving, generous friend. Your friends feel so heard by you and supported by you. But it's also okay for you to have needs. It's also okay for you to not be available all the time. And just because you have that boundary does not mean that you're no longer going to have friends. You are still loved. People want to be around you, and people are understanding that you're busy and that you can't always be available. With that invitation to her inner child, there also was a little softening happening, but still not completely full, still unsure, not really trusting, and actually rejecting, because I'm telling her this, right? The reframe. And a little rejecting of what I'm saying to her. All right, so let's bring in another example. So in the last year, have you made new friends? Oh yeah, I've met a lot of new people. Great. So there isn't a scarcity amount of friends that you can have. There isn't a limited amount of people in the world that would want to be your friends because there's proof, there's evidence that in the last year, you have been able to bring in new people into your life. And those new people are probably more aligned with the person that you are today. So if it so happens that these friends who want to go out and party and constantly want to hang out and aren't really being conscious or aware that you might not be available or busy, and they might get mad and yeah, you might lose them as a friend, then that's not a friend that you need to have in your life anymore. Who you are today is very different than when this friendship started. And it doesn't mean that friendships have to dissolve because you have evolved as a human. But sometimes that does happen because people don't continue to grow with us, because we start to have different interests. And again, that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you selfish. It's just life. And we can still care about someone. But at the end, what's really important is to take care of ourselves first. It's important for you to be a good friend, but you can't be a good friend if you're showing up, but then deep down inside, you're feeling resentful, or you're feeling tired, or then you're not able to show up in other parts of your life because you are so drained or you're so exhausted or it's taking you away from what you really want to do. And so once we started to say that to her inner child, then there was a bigger shift in the energy. And then there was the, oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. And more peace was starting to be in her space and an openness. And so that constant loop and stress and anxiety that was consuming her disappeared. That is the power of identifying who is running your life. So my invitation to you, let's do a quick exercise of thinking right now of a moment of something in your life that you're avoiding, putting off, and then ask yourself, why am I doing that? What's really going on? What are the thoughts behind that? What am I afraid of? What do I think it's going to happen if I do take that action? Or if I say that thing that I have to communicate, but I'm afraid because it might create conflict. So let's gain clarity on that. And then ask yourself, who does that sound like? Is it a younger self of you? Or is it a parent voice, a guardian voice? Is it something that you've heard out in society, out in the world? And we're recognizing because there's tension here, because there's conflict, because you are feeling stuck and anxious and worried, that it's not helping you anymore. This way of thinking, this way of showing up, this way of dealing with things or not dealing with things, it's creating more tension, more stress, and more problems in your life. So if it isn't a younger self whose voice this is, if it is your parents, I also guide my clients to invite them to connect with the soul of this person. And so I invite you to imagine calling in the soul of your parent, reminding you that you are safe, that you are in control, and no one can hurt you. And speak your truth. What do you have to say around that? What boundaries do you have? How do you want things to be different? Let them know of a different way of viewing this. And see if your energy starts to shift around that. I also like doing this exercise, writing it down, because that's also able to allow us to have some space and get the noise out of our mind onto a piece of paper. We can actually see words and present you able to see how, I hate to use the word ridiculous because I don't want to shame anyone, but how not true it is. How it's fears based on past experiences, based on traumas, that it's fears based on what you heard your parents say, but also who you are today and maybe who you were back in the day when you made that mistake or when that traumatic experience happened. Who you are today is able to handle that situation differently because you do have tools, because you have the awareness, because you're learning how to self-regulate. And so recognize that too. Recognize your growth, lean into the self-trust that you're going to be able to figure it out. It still might be messy. It still might be complicated. There still might be tension. But at the end of the day, you also know your intention. You're all a kind, beautiful human being. And I know that you don't want to hurt anyone. And so if someone does happen to get hurt because of the decision you make, because of what you say, that's not on you. That's the healing that they still have to do. So let's take a deep breath in. And on the exhaling, just letting your body soften and receive this information. Telling yourself, yeah, I know how to do hard things. Yeah, I am a different person and I'm going to figure it out. And yes, I do want these changes in my life. I do want a different reality, and I'm no longer going to make it even more difficult for me to receive it. I'm going to comfort my younger selves. I'm going to have difficult conversations, and I'm going to let myself receive what I want. That is how you step into your power. That's how you create the life of your dreams. That's how you have more peace in your heart, in your life. And I invite you to continue to look at your life through this lens, to continue to ask yourself these questions, to do the self-reflection. And if you're still feeling a little insecure about doing this work and you need more practice, I invite you to join the next round of the Dream Bigger Mastermind. We are opening doors for enrollment on Saturday this week, and it's only going to be open for 10 days. So you have a very limited time so that your brain isn't getting in your head and convincing you not to do it. I have shortened the enrollment period to get the folks in who want change, who want to learn new tools, who want to coach and mentor to speed things up for them. Because if you're going to do it alone, yeah, you can do it alone, but it's just going to take you a longer time to do it. That's just been my own experience. And let's be real. If you don't already have what you want in your life today, it's because you don't know how to get it. And so I want to help you get it. And I want you to be in this next round of the Dream Bigger Mastermind. It's going to be amazing. I am switching things up, including making it more accessible for the price point. We're going to have weekly calls. We're going to have one group so that there's more people in community, so that you're learning from more people as well, because it's a collaboration. It's not just me speaking. You're going to learn from other people as well. You're going to develop friendships. You're going to collaborate with folks. It's really a powerful, life-changing container. And I'm so proud of this program. And I can't wait for you to be part of it. So go to the show notes, click on the link to book a call with me so that I can get you in this next round of the Dream Bigger Mastermind. And let's have present you. Let's have the adult you running your life and not a younger self or someone else. All right, friend, I hope you found this helpful. Reach out to me. I also want to learn from you after listening to this episode. Like, were you able to identify what part of you've been letting run your life? I always love to hear from you and cheer you on and support you. So I can't wait to hear from you. And we're going to be talking real soon again. Bye, everyone.